Hey everybody, it's Alex with Care Conscious. Today, as part of our residential options video series, we're going to be talking about assisted living facilities. We're here on location at Vera Spring, which is part of Woodland Terrace in Cary, North Carolina. You know, we all have an idea of assisted living facilities. We think we know what they're about. Today, we're going to find out what's assisted living all about and what should caregivers know. So come on, let's take a look. In this segment, we're going to talk about assisted living generally. What is it? What services are provided? Then we're going to talk to family caregivers, residents. We're going to talk to the wellness director of the facility to find out how you as a caregiver can ensure your loved ones getting the best care possible if they're in such a facility. So join me. So we're here with Ann Kratzer and her son, Jerrod Kratzer, who's her caregiver. And I'm going to ask a couple questions about their experience, particularly Jerrod's experience with assisted living. So Jerrod, how did you, or rather, what was your impression of assisted living facilities before your mother moved in here?
The impression was, again, I think it's pretty typical. I didn't know a great deal about it because I hadn't given it a great deal of thought. Mm-hmm. And then a situation arose with my mom, who lived at the time in Delaware, where I was going up there quite often. And I realized that it was, something had to change in terms of the arrangements. And the change was, we've got to see if we can find a place for Mom that's closer to where I live. And so that was the sort of prompting for us to move on something like this. Mm-hmm. But Mom was a little anxious because she lived by herself for 95 years.
Wow.
And she was living at the time alone in her house since my dad died. And so it was we were anticipating an adjustment.
Right. What advice would you give to other caregivers who may be experiencing some hesitancy about moving into a facility like this?
Well, I would think one of the things to do would be, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, is just visit different places. Mm-hmm. But also I would, if they have a friend or a relative who has moved into one, to talk to them, to find out, what the experience has been. So I would recommend that they do go around and talk to people like Mom who mm-hmm. are living in places like Woodland Terrace.
So Jerrod, what are the, say, top 3 things that you really like about this arrangement, about assisted living?
Mm-hmm. One of them is the communication between the staff here and myself. Before you asked me about people who might be anxious about having a relative move into a place like this, well, one of the things that I think is a key to making it work is that the caregiver communicate with the staff of a place like this, and they just keep me informed. So I think that's one important thing. Another important thing is just the general support that Mom gets here from everyone. Not only the communication with me, but Mom has something that is needed, they're on top of it. And I think the other thing about the staff is they really seem to enjoy doing what they're doing. It's a very difficult job, and they do such a great job of looking after Mom.
You mentioned having a good relationship with the staff,
right.
Really communicating with the staff. What are some other things that you do that you could recommend to caregivers who have someone in assisted living or are going to have someone in assisted living? What are some best practices from your standpoint?
Well, one thing is I live only a mile away, and so I come over generally every day, even if it's only for 10-15 minutes. That gets me in the building, that gets me around the staff. So, the way the staff works at a place like this is they rotate through the different sections of this facility. Mm-hmm. So they'll, one person will be working for 2 weeks over this side, and then another person will be, switching on and off. So being over here, I get to know all of them, and they know me. And if there's something that is of a concern, and needn't be a crisis concern, but they'll give me a call and just say, you know, Mr. Kratzer, I just wanted to let you know
Right.
that your mom, whatever.
Right.
So I would say, you know, getting into the facility and getting to know the staff,
Right.
and that is critically important.
Right. So, Ann, what advice would you give to someone who's considering moving into an assisted living facility?
Yeah. I would tell them to come to one of our meetings and see what we do and participate in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then go out and get more people to come in and show them the exercise and what we go through and what we have, and tell them about the delicious food we have.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, really and truly a great chef, you know.
Well, and finally, Jerrod, what you've talked about a lot of really great things today for other caregivers who have someone in assisted living or perhaps considering it. Is there any other maybe top bit of advice that caregivers might not be thinking about that you, having been quote unquote in the trenches, going here every day, would know that would be valuable for share?
Well, I guess the thing I would try to help people understand is the decision to have someone that you love a great deal go into a facility like this, that it is, anticipate that it is going to be something that is going to cause some anxiety, and that in thinking about the process of doing that, you just have to realize what, as a caregiver, are your limitations. And for a number of years I tried to help Mom stay in her home by herself,
Mm-hmm.
but it just got to a certain point that I realized that, you know, that kind of assistance to Mom was not sufficient to what she needed. And I think that, you know, we're just living longer. You know, Mom's 98, I'm 68, you know, my kids are in their 30s and 40s, and so we just have to realize that, you know, certain kinds of living arrangements, because we live so much longer, are different today.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is, I think, a good option for many, many people.
Right, right. Well, it seems like you guys are really happy with it, and I'm glad we're able to share that with you guys. And I want to thank you both. Thank you, Jerrod.
All right.
And thank you, Mrs. Kratzer.
Oh, thank you.
Take care. Thanks for joining me today at Woodland Terrace here in Cary, North Carolina. This does represent a typical assisted living facility set up in the United States. There's probably a facility like this in your loved one's area or in your area. What I got out of today was make sure you're staying involved. Whether or not your loved one is already in assisted living or is considering assisted living, your participation in their day-to-day routine is vital. Befriend the staff, know their schedule. Make sure you communicate what your loved one's likes and dislikes, preferences are. It's just vital to be interested and engage with your loved one's life. And as always, if you have more questions about any caregiving need or want to communicate with other caregivers, turn to careconscious.com. Thank you for joining us today. Hope to see you next time.